WineLibraryTV. I'm your host, Gary Bay, Nerd Chuck. And this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, aka the Internet's most passionate wine program. And we are here live in Austin at South by Southwest. That was not loud enough. That speakers just blew out. Just send me the invoice and we'll pay you back. Now, we have a guest on this very special South by Southwest champagne bubbly show. He's a good guy. I wouldn't say he's that great. You know, he's a solid chap. A lot of people like him. And he just wrote a book, which is fine as long as it doesn't sell more copies than Crush It. And he's a very dear friend and a really good guy, and he loves the bubbles. He's borderline alcoholic with it, but that's okay. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Brian, thanks for being on the show, my man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Why don't you tell everybody in the Vayner Nation out there?
Vayner Nation, I am Bryan Solis. And I brought my palate and my liver to the show.
So why don't you tell them what you do and who you are and things like that?
Well, all right. I didn't rehearse for this, but I'm going to do my best. So my name is Bryan Solis, and I write about new media marketing, media in general, and also about how it's changing your world, how it's changing my world, and what to do about it. This book helps businesses crush it.
Yes. You owe me 3 cents.
I do. And basically, if you want to learn more, just go to bryansolis.com. If you want to get the book, it's everywhere.
Hey, Mott, I know you're not here, but let's link both those up, the Amazon link and bryansolis.com. And I think we should probably get into the bubbles, because, you know, there's a lot of people here, they're going to start getting hot sooner than later, and so we probably want to start drinking this. So let's get into the first wine. Now, what we're focusing on here today is we've got 4 sparkling wines, maybe, you know, classic grower champagne style, instead of the Moet and the Clicquot and the Perrier-Jouet that you see out there. I'm going to riff a little bit about champagne. As many of you might know out there, when it comes down to it, I drink more sparkling wine than white or red wine at home. I'm all about the bugs as well, Brad. You know, you're not as diverse as I am, because I drink other nerd stuff, but I do love the bubbles. And what's really fascinating to me is that Moet and Clicquot and Perrier-Jouet and these brands that so many of the people in this crowd right now, and you at home know, are actually probably some of the weaker efforts. But champagne, more than any other wine category, has done such a phenomenal job in branding. You know, Moet does Fashion Week, Clicquot, the Yellow Label. People know the brands much more than they know wine brands, and thus they're able to command the prices that they get. Meanwhile, the real stuff, the grower champagne stuff, still falls under the radar. We're going 25, 38, 40, 40 in price range across the board here. And what's really fascinating to me is that the Yellowtails and the Kendall Jacksons of the champagne world, which is what Moet and Clicquot are dominating, yet these amazing value grower champagnes are very much under the radar. What do you think about that, Brian?
I think we're going to have to change that. What do you think about that?
I think I'll continue the show. All right, so, good stuff there. So, let's get into the first wine. This is probably the most interesting value play in the boutique champagnes right now. The Duval Leroy Brut champagne. This wine rolls in at 25 US bones. Now, I'm going to pour you some. I'm going to pour myself some. Now, Brian, I want you to recognize one thing. I did not make this champagne. I have no emotional attachment to it whatsoever. So if you do not like it, I want you to say that, because I don't know if you've heard, transparency is the key. So let's give it a sniffy sniff first.
Is it normal for the bubbles to go up your nose?
Yes, it does happen once in a while, and that's just an added value of drinking sparkling wine. So what are you getting on the nose, Brian?
Other than it's hard to resist drinking it, I'm getting some pear and some Jouet. Just kidding, I'm kidding. That's champagne humor for all those playing at home.
Yeah, they're dying.
And I get a little dust in that. Is that normal?
No, I think the pear is a really good play. I picked up pear as well. I think for the people out there that I can see have it as well. I think the real dominant nose component is a little baked apple, kind of flavor. There's like this whole apple component. I don't know if you're picking that up. that I get quite a lot. And then on the back end, I get like this kind of fresh, smaller, like Asian pear, if you've ever had. And that dust factor that I think you're picking up, I also am picking up a little bit. And there's a little clove. Wow. Really? But it does smell extremely fresh and vibrant. Let's give it a whirl.
All right.
Silence is deadening.
What do you think, Brian Solis?
It's very refreshing, very dry. I find it to need...
Do you find it dry?
I do find it dry. And here's why. I'm thirsty. No, I find it actually very refreshing. And it's actually something that I could drink right outside, sitting on the water here in Austin, Texas. It doesn't need anything with it, but I could... this thing would just crush it with some fruit around us right now.
So what you're saying is you like to drink the champagne sitting by the river?
And just drink the champagne, period.
Got it. So, for my palate, I find this kind of interesting. I don't feel that it's massively as dry in comparison to a lot of champagnes. I think we'll get to some more bubbles that I think you'll find more dry, but maybe not. Everybody has their own palate, and that's great. I find the fruit extremely intense on the mid-palate. So you start with some fruit, and then there's this really aggressive attack of this like pear and almost like applesauce cinnamon thing going on, which I like quite a bit. And then it fades off. There's a little bit like of a bread, almost like a cinnamon toast crunch component on the back end that I like quite a bit. But right as it's going to the final show, that finish, it kind of falls off the cliff. And I feel like there's really little to no taste on the back end. The finish is very minimal. It almost Casper the Friendly Ghosts my ass. That pisses me off. And that starts to scare me about this wine. Right? So I'm going to score this wine 87 plus points. I think it falls a little short, especially on the finish. I think it's fresh, I think it's solid, but at 25 bones, I'm going to have to give this wine a pass with 4 Z's.
Let me ask you a question, just so that I can learn at the same time. Because I noticed that at the finish, that it just dies. And so to me, it seems like this is the type of glass that can go flat on you pretty quickly. What's that about?
You know, I mean, different wines have different complexities. It's not that it can go flat on you, it's just, it doesn't have the flavor profile to carry through the finish. And I think when you guys think about the red and white wines that you drink at home, especially in a red wine, you love that finish. You know, it's got that tail end. And in bubbles is where I really feel it. You know, the big difference between a champagne that has a finish and one that doesn't is quite staggering. And when it just disappears, I just feel like I'm missing something. It's like, you think about the movies, this can really relate. Think about the movies that you've watched that you really liked, and then the finish, you know, the way it ended sucked. There's a big part of you that's like, wow, really? I really like that. And this ending completely crushed me. If it was a little stronger, this would have been an iconic movie. Now it's just, I liked it, I'm left a little disappointed, and that's kind of how I feel about that.
I'm with you.
Okay, let's move on. Yes, thank you so much. Oh, look at this amazing action. Alfred Gratien, an amazing producer, Champagne Brut. This one rolls in at $38 US. Let's see what's going on here. Have you ever had the Alfred Gratien?
I have not had any before.
So what do you normally drink? And it's okay if it's one of the ones I called out. I'm just curious what you normally drink.
I drink...
Cristal, you're balling like that?
I represent, yo. Only when I've got it, when I'm dropping a new rap CD. But otherwise, I'm drinking a lot of California sparkling.
Okay.
So, Domaine Chandon, Carneros, Mum, or Mou in French. Just the usual stuff, and that's because I don't, when I'm out and about, the Vouves are usually out of the price range. So I enjoy something, or like the Rotor a lot.
Yeah, the Rotor Estate.
Yeah.
Great stuff. All right, let's give this a sniffy sniff. Different nose.
Yeah.
What are you picking up on the nose?
Gosh, that one's so soft, I gotta keep sniffy. I mean, like some soft melon.
Okay.
And some strawberry. A little light on the strawberry as well, like a slice of strawberry. Again, it's detailed there, it's Gary.
I think the melon play is quite interesting, actually. I also, on the sniffy sniff, picked up a little bit of a cantaloupe action, you know? But there's also a borderline, like, ace bandage thing going on.
Thanks a lot.
There's literally like a cantaloupe that's wrapped in ace bandages when I smell this. You get that?
Maybe I gotta put an ace bandage on. It's been a while. But
Yeah. Okay, I do get a little bit of that. All right, let's give it a whirl.
I don't know that I can do that. Let me get the ace bandage thing out.
Okay, get it out. Reverse.
Whoa.
Now see, this is the monumental advantage of being able to taste wines together. I think we can all tell by Brian's body language that he didn't hate the first bubbles, but I think when you start comparing to this, based on your reaction, based on what I tasted, do you see a significant difference between this and the prior champagne?
I do. In fact, I'd like to keep this glass, James, after the tasting.
How about the whole bottle?
Nice. This is delicious, but here's the thing. The finish for me is so powerful that I forgot the front to mid aspects of it. I have to go back and taste it again because this movie has a fantastic ending, and that's like a huge vanilla bomb at the end.
Great call on the vanilla. Great call on the vanilla. It's a big moment for you.
Thank you.
Did you notice that the wine was much thicker on the palate? That it was almost like if the first wine was water, this was like milk.
Yes, I did. And it just kind of coated its way down.
So that's when you guys hear about body in a wine, like this wine has a great body, that's what we're talking about. The viscosity of this wine was just much more serious. It does coat your palate, and the acidity on the back end, the acid, is phenomenal. And with me, when I'm drinking wines that have acid, I want that acid to whip out a switchblade and cut my tongue. I want aggressive acid.
Me too.
So I think this wine is extremely interesting. Has a lot more going on. I agree with you. The finish is very aggressive and powerful, but at least it's there. No Casper this time. It's more like a punch in the face from Mike Tyson, which is for me a good situation. I do remember the upfront flavors. As a matter of fact, how many of you know what acacia flowers are? If you know what acacia flowers are, there's an aggressive little play on that from the beginning, which I thought was really an intriguing flavor profile. And midway through, on the mid-palate, there's almost even a hint of ginger. I don't know if you taste. And then that vanilla comes through really well, like you pointed out so eloquently, Brian.
Well, now I can visualize that. And by the way, just for a plug, acacia and flowers are two of my favorite Pinots.
Oh, that was a nice little. Oh, that was very wine-nerdy. That was very, very nerdy. You just went over a lot of maniacs. Like, okay, he's not just peddling his book; he likes wine. So, I like this wine. I would probably score this wine 91 plus points. I think this is a fantastic bottle of champagne. It's well worth the price. Knowing that it's a 38 suggested retail, it's been under 35. I know in that same price point as PJ, Moet, and Clicquot, it's just a much better champagne. I know a lot of master sommeliers and sommeliers around the country are pouring more and more Alfred Gratien champagne, which is what this is. And if you are at home, text yourself. It's 2010. Stop writing it down. Alfred Gratien. Go out and find a bottle. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Like that? Good. All right, let's move on. Wine number 3. Charles Heidsieck. Brut Reserve. This wine rolls in at $40 US. Has a pretty package, which is nice. Black label. Have you ever had a Charles Heidsieck before?
No, I don't think so.
But you probably had the Piper Heidsieck, right?
Yes. That's like the latter half of that I know.
Gary, can you talk about the pour? Are you wasting bubbles? How's that? Is it okay to pour like that?
Yeah, I know a lot of people get romanced by the pour. I'm a little bit, I don't know if you've seen a little more non-traditional. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it. There's a lot of people that are romanced by a lot of subtleties, the legs in wine, all these things that really don't add up to a whole lot other than building the mystique, which is great, and I love the romance, but the pour is fine. So let's give it a sniffy sniff.
All right, let's do it.
What do you think about this nose?
What? This is big. This is a big bouquet.
Are you picking up the skidded tire on the nose? Like
So I got
serious.
I got some baked apple that ended off in something I couldn't put my finger on, and that I think you nailed it for me. Now,
Yeah, this has a legitimate, like, take your old school 1984 BMX bike, go outside and spin out, and then that smell that happens from the asphalt and the rubber of your tire, that smell, that's exactly what this wine smells like.
and I can't get enough of it.
There's also a lemon peel action on this nose. This has an aggressive lemon kind of citrus bite. Let's give it a whirl.
All right, it's good.
What do you think, Brian?
Some little orange creme brulee on this one. Nice finish, but to me it kind of died at the end. It was a nice right in the mid and finished, and it's almost kind of forgettable at the moment. Maybe that's not a good thing. Sorry, but that's where I'm at.
I'm very impressed with your take, Brian, because I feel like this champagne was dead from the beginning. I think this wine is actually quite unacceptable. You know, at $40 US, this is borderline, I stole your wallet. It's very thin. Very, very thin, which is shocking. How you said disappeared and unforgettable, that was a nice way of saying what I'm about to say, which was, this almost tastes like water. I mean, it is so thin, it's like water, it's actually like getting a seltzer and squeezing a lemon in
There
it,
it is.
and then maybe throwing like an old piece of bread in it. You know, I'll take it from here. This wine is really disastrous, and I was actually quite shocked while tasting it because I do believe that Charles Heidsieck is a profound producer of sparkling wine, but something really went wrong here, took a wrong turn, and this champagne sucks. I'm going to score this wine a 67-point score, which is literally one of the lowest scored champagnes I've ever scored. This is a bad, bad scene. What happens here? The Philipponnat Royale Reserve Champagne Brut, also 40 US bones, and we'll see if we can fix that horrible situation from the last. Sorry to bring your big day with that.
Yeah, no, I'm admiring this label.
Yeah, this label's pretty. For all you designers in the crowd, it's kind of nice. You know, so. All right, let's sniff it up. Too busy, I heard. Okay, not great. Just trying to be nice to everybody.
Okay.
What are you gonna nose, Brian?
Well, the first one was like just massive amount of lemon for me. I'm trying to break out the second one. What are you getting?
I'm actually very much convinced that this is a wine that I would call AC, aromatically challenged. I'm not getting a whole lot on the nose at all.
I can't get anything after that first thing. That might have just been the bubbles going up my nose.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little hint of like smokiness,
Yeah, that.
you know, but I'm not getting a whole lot whatsoever. Let's give it a whirl. What do you think?
Very subtle. It too sort of disappeared. For me, at the end, I need to do one more. Subtle hit of clove, subtle hit of clove. Very, very light, but it's not anything that I could drink unless someone else was pouring it for me, and maybe we were flying kites. I don't know.
Flying kites.
Which doesn't
This is what happens on the fourth glass. This one's intriguing to me. It actually comes across like, you know those really classy, 87-year-old Southern belles? You know, they're subtle, they're quiet, but there's a lot of class there and a lot of history, and you're just like, and there's a big part of you that knows not to mess with them. You know, That's what this champagne comes across with me. It has a lot of complexity. I think it's actually a hair young right now. It's being hidden behind some complex walls. I do get the clove quite a bit. I think that's a great wine. You picked up some really good notes today. I think you did a really good job. I thought I really did a great job with that. I think there's some floral aspects. There's a minerality to this. I almost feel like I ate a crushed rock and oyster seashell salad. You know, like just those two things. Like the minerality from those two things comes across from me here. I also get a little bit of banana skin on the back end, which I thought was quite kind of neat. But it's very complex, and it feels like it's not all the way open. I think this has potential. I do.
Well, it gets better. It's better right now. But I will give it potential. And is Royale the name of this one?
Yes.
Because this is the kind of champagne you have with cheese, a Royale with cheese. Oh! Hashtag that.
Or don't. Wow. You sure you want to start like a humor video blog? I saw you going for it. You were building up for it. You were excited about it. I know. You know. I'm going to score this wine 89 to 91 points. I'm going to give it a range. I think it's got potential. I think it's got long-term potential. It's a little awkward right now, but I have a feeling in the next year or so, this wine, this champagne will definitely open up and show its true grit, which I think is actually quite solid. You know, so all in all, I thought the Gratien was dramatically the best of the bunch. You know, and as the second least expensive wine, once again proves home that price doesn't equal quality. And I thought the rest were pretty good, except, obviously, I'm very down on this. I don't think anyone... Yeah. You know, I just can't see people drinking that. I don't want them to. Somebody's going to drink that picture. I know you guys are. Brian, we have a very big tradition here on the Thunder Show that the guest always gets to ask the question of the day. So what is your question of the day to the Vader Nation?
Am I asking them or can I ask you? All right. I would love to know of the Vader Nation, of all of the varietals that Gary talks about and reviews, what is your favorite? And can we throw a quick poll in there or something so that we can get some votes on it? To see?
You can do whatever you want.
All right, I want to put a quick poll out there on this. You know, why don't you give us our choices of what might be among your favorites?
Okay, I can do that. I'll cost you $14,000. Okay. You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not.